Hey everyone, welcome back to the Glass Seats podcast. This is where two hockey aficionados discuss their perspectives on headlines surrounding the NHL, including recent stories, game highlights, league culture, and other topics trending amongst the fans. I'm Viddy.
My name is Mrinal, and this week I have been watching so much hockey.
It must be nice.
I've been, whatever else I'm doing during the day, I just leave my iPad up, and I just from 4 p.m. here on the West Coast to 10 p.m. it's running whatever games on ESPN.
Yeah, see, I can't do that because even if I'm trying to do something in the background, it just kind of gets blurred out by the hockey. Like I just tune way too get way too into the hockey, so can't really be doing all that. But I try to watch what I can, so I'm jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
See the scores, see the highlights afterward.
Yeah. It's just not the same though. But I do what I can for sure.
Yeah. So this episode we're gonna run down each of the playoff series, give our thoughts so far. Most of them have been played, 2 games. We're filming on Thursday, April 20th. So there is 2 games going on right now, the West Coast games. So we'll give it thoughts about that and see what it's going. And we got some other topics at the end of the show as well. But shall we jump into the playoff series?
Yeah, let's do a quick check-in.
All right, Boston versus Florida. This one was the most contentious in our little preview episode. You and I were on opposite sides here. Series is 1-1, so we're still facing each other down.
Yep, there you go. I'm still confident in my Panthers in 5 prediction. Something I'd like to know. I mean, it's been pretty early. Like the series hasn't gone very far. It's only 2 games in. But it feels like it's been a lopsided series, and by that I mean the winning team has played well, and the losing team has played pretty badly. So for example, Florida could hardly set up a power play in game 1, and then Boston was I think you used the words turnover machine. In game 2, and I have to agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of embarrassing for Florida the first game, and now it was kind of embarrassing for Boston the second game. So, series starts now.
Yeah.
1 game each burned. It's best of, 5 now. So, should be good. We're going into Sunrise next game. So, I'm still looking intense. I'm hoping Boston can bounce back. But, yeah, I have faith still.
No, Panthers in 5. But,
5? Damn, that's a bold prediction.
Okay, Panthers in 5. I'm still going with it.
All right. Toronto versus Tampa, the other Atlantic series here. Game 1, Toronto kind of got outclassed.
Yeah.
And then game 2, Tampa got outclassed.
Yeah.
Big scores in each game.
Yeah. Game 2 just finished not too long ago, maybe a couple hours ago. So my issue with it is, there was so much controversy with it, between the Michael Bunting hit and everything else. My biggest takeaway from it was, sure, the officiating was questionable and inconsistent, bad, whatever word you want to use. But in game 1, it was even worse hockey by the Leafs, in my opinion. It doesn't change the fact that they lost by, 4 goals or something like that?
Yeah.
And some of those goals that Samsonov let in were just unacceptable at an NHL playoff level. So, So, sure, the officiating wasn't great, but you can't just blame everything on that.
Yeah, plus I think coming out in the third period, after being severely down, the Leafs were just flat in that third period. You're saying Samsonov, but I'm looking at some of those goals and defensemen just floating around.
Yeah.
So I think that fight just wasn't there for them.
Yeah.
But it came back strong in game 2.
Yes, it did.
And in game 1, Eric Cernak for the Lightning is out after Michael Bunting's hit to the head. So Michael Bunting suspended 3 games. Tampa Bay is also missing Victor Hedman, who also went out with an injury, and missing those 2 defensemen, I think, showed a lot in game 2.
Yeah, it did.
Tampa would just get hemmed in their zone by Toronto, and Toronto has obviously a very strong offensive end. They just get stuck, and they're missing the breakouts.
Yeah.
Their breakouts were sloppy, and they really need Hedman back there, Cernak back there. So hopefully those guys are back sooner than later, but Tampa's got to figure out a way out of this.
Yeah, and one interesting point I brought up, I can't remember where I saw it, but I was wondering, what do you think because Toronto has had a history, at least in the past couple of years, of having a dirty hit happen in the first round, and it almost dooms their team every single time. It was almost always Nazem Kadri, but now it's Michael Bunting. Do you think that could be a repeat offender right now?
I mean, it's weird how history keeps repeating itself where the Leafs are concerned. But I think Bunting is not as critical to the team as Kadri was in those playoffs.
Right.
So if they're going to recover, I think they can.
Yes.
Actually, I think this hurts Tampa a little bit because Bunting is kind of a player who has a hot temper, and you can take advantage of that, get some power plays. Now he's not in the lineup. So that's going to be a bit of a struggle there, I think. So I think it's not that bad for Toronto.
Yeah.
Realistically looking.
Yeah, I think they will be able to recover. I don't think... again, it's same thing with the Boston series, Boston-Florida series. It's 1-1. Series starts now. Whoever really wants it, whoever's more disciplined, whoever's going to fight through it, it's going to get it.
Yep. Well said. All right, Carolina Islanders. What are you thinking?
So yes, it was definitely some. It was not some. It was definitely some dominance by Carolina, but the Islanders looked a little bit lost, in my opinion. Maybe not too hungry, and again, more inconsistent reffing. In this case, I can't remember who it was, but there was a blatant high stick that led to a Carolina goal, and the ref was. Not the ref, the linesman was watching it happen and just watched it happen because he didn't have an orange armband on. I was like, something about this just feels wrong, right?
Yeah.
And it just leads to another goal in the playoffs. I mean, I don't know. Very odd.
This is just playoff reffing, right?
You're right, but God, it's been very interesting to say the least. I think maybe it was the camera angle that I saw that made it especially bad, but he literally watched the Islanders guy get taken down and just looked at him. it was borderline comedic. Yeah. So I don't know. Interesting series so far. 2-0 for Carolina, but we'll see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah. Honestly, I've been watching Carolina play. They are down a few injuries. Max Pacioretty, Andrei Svechnikov, and now Taro Teravainen is also out. But they've been fun to watch.
Yeah.
I've been surprised.
Yeah.
You know, you saw in our preview, like I was hyping up some of these other series here, but this one kind of snuck up on me.
Yeah.
And the Sharks fan in me is loving Brent Burns' performance.
Yeah.
He's got, I think, four assists.
Yeah.
So it's been fun to watch. Playoff Burns, I missed that.
Yeah. I've been watching Carolina because I think I have them for the Cup win, but let's see, one series at a time. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Jersey, New York has been a little disappointing.
Yeah,
don't you think?
Hella boring. I don't like the series at all. 5-1 both games, I think it was. I was expecting a lot more vengeance between the two teams. This has been an absolute snooze fest. I mean, if you're a Rangers fan, congrats, you're killing it. But, you went to Jersey and took 2 games, and you're going back home, and you have a chance to close out the series. But from a fan who has no dog in this fight, boring.
Jersey's looked lost.
Yeah,
man.
very.
I was expecting this is the Battle of the Hudson. This is supposed to be a huge playoff series, and Jersey's just not been in it.
Yeah, it's just like arguably this is the most boring playoff series I've seen in a while. Yeah, which really sucks. But
a little disappointing.
Yeah,
but I guess it shows you can't manufacture rivalries; they just happen.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, moving out to the West, Colorado, Seattle. Seattle wins Game 1 in a shocker. Game 2 is going on right now. What are you thinking here?
So clearly wrong about my prediction so far. The thing to note was I don't think Colorado looked terrible.
Yeah.
I think Seattle just looked better, especially Grubauer. Facing his former team and everything, I'm sure he feels great. But I don't think Colorado's out of this in any means. Right now, we have Game 2 going on as we record this podcast. It's still 2-2. Colorado's not out yet.
Yeah.
Seattle did get a game, but this series is far from done.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's counting Colorado out. That's that's the defending champ. Like you can't count them out.
Yeah. I mean, it was great to have that one game of Seattle Magic, but to count the champs out even without Landeskog, that's a foolish move. Yeah,
I would say though, it got me a lot more interested in watching the series. That Seattle won a game right off the bat. I want to watch it now.
Yeah,
so.
I would agree. It's also a much being on the West Coast. It's a little bit easier to watch those games. But yeah, I was expecting a sweep, didn't get it, and now all of a sudden I'm intrigued. So yeah,
should be good.
Yeah.
Dallas versus Minnesota. Nothing controversial here, right?
Yeah,
just totally good old hockey.
Yeah, totally not. Yeah.
For those of you who missed it, Joe Pavelski went out on a hit by Matt Dumba, which sparked a lot of debate amongst fans. Matt Dumba was originally called for a 5-minute penalty, which was reduced to a 2-minute after review, deeming was for interference, I believe. Or
what was it, interference, or was it just
doesn't matter? Yeah. But yeah, basically for a hit on Pavelski. Let's start with the obvious. What did you think of the hit?
I was a little bit more. I'm a big Pavelski fan, so my bias came out a little bit. I was definitely a little bit angry about it. Thought it was almost like a jump hit. It definitely wasn't a jump hit. Now that I watched enough replays of it, my opinion though, it was a little bit late. It was a little late, and it was uncalled for in the sense that sure you gotta finish your checks in the playoffs, but that seemed borderline like not gentlemanly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think after watching it like the day later, I was like, okay, if you want to go by the letter of the NHL rules, it wasn't a dirty hit.
Yeah, it was a legal hit by the rules.
Yeah, but
by the code, it was messed up in my opinion.
I mean, not even the code. I would argue there was no hockey play reason to make that hit.
Agreed.
Pavelski had given up the puck. He was not in a position to score. He was behind the net, and he was not
looking.
One, he wasn't looking, and he was not in like a position to get a pass or something. So, and if you watch Dumba, he rises up in the hit. He doesn't leave his skates.
Yeah.
So technically legal.
Yeah.
But he does rise up.
Yeah.
And I feel like Pavelski saw him at the last second and like kind of flinched for it. And I feel like if he hadn't, that could have been contact to the head. So it was very, very close.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fine. It's legal, but that was still, in my book, that's kind of a dirty hit.
Yeah.
Like, you had no reason to make... The only reason to make that hit was to, I feel like, take Pavelski out for some period of time, right? Like, I don't think he meant to injure him, but, you bruise him a little bit, try to get him off his game, and unfortunately, Pavelski hit the ice on the way down.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, if anything can be said, it's more unfortunate the way he fell, of all things. I believe it was head first, and, he's in concussion protocol. He didn't travel to Minnesota for games 3 and 4.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully, we'll see how he goes. Hopefully he recovers quickly and is able to hop back into the series. But, hopefully it's not anything major.
Yeah, but to be said, Dallas was in game 1. They lost in overtime off a bad bounce.
Yeah.
And game 2, they won convincingly.
Yeah.
So I think Dallas is doing all right without him, but if he doesn't come back for later rounds, it's something to keep an eye out for.
One last part I wanted to touch on for this was between the two games, it's interesting to see, it was a bad bounce in game 1 in double overtime for the Stars. But Philip Gustafsson, he stood on his head, and he's the reason. I mean, I don't know how much of the overtime you were able to see. It was late, but there was like stick saves, and his defensemen were helping him out too. In game 2, Fleury didn't look great. In my opinion.
I don't know why they went to Fleury.
Yeah,
Gustafsson had a great game 1.
Yes, exactly. When you had all that momentum, and then you went to Fleury after that, it just why?
Yeah.
Why? Just ride your hot goaltender.
I mean, Fleury honestly didn't look good.
No.
I'm a huge fan of Fleury, but he was flying out of the net in some of those saves, giving up rebounds.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. Hopefully he recovers, and maybe it was just a one-game fluke, but, we'll see how it goes, how the series goes. So.
Yeah. Vegas, Winnipeg. This was supposed to be Vegas' series to win, but Winnipeg has made this a fight.
Yeah.
They won game 1. They're leading in game 2 as we're recording this. So, what do you think here?
Surprised. And the biggest note I can make, at least from game 1, I haven't, as you said, game 2 is going on right now. Vegas looks sloppy. Not just sloppy, but they looked very reliant on their goalie. I don't remember who was in that. I think it was Laurent Brossoit. Yeah. But they looked very reliant on the goalie, and then they just, it was almost like the Vegas style, just go all out, everything in on red, whatever. And just kind of went all in on the offense. And then, if the defense doesn't have it, that's too bad. Laurent Brossoit will bail us out. And he can't do it every single time. He did what he could. He played great, but you still got lit up 5 times, right? Yeah. You got to have a better strategy than that. So
honestly, I don't think Vegas wants to end up in a situation of a goalie v goalie matchup because you're facing Connor Hellebuck at the other end.
That's true.
No shame on Brossoit, but that's Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah, that's no winner.
I don't think you want to get into that type of gameplay. So you got to limit. And Winnipeg, if one thing they're known for is offense, right?
Right.
Shifley, Wheeler, Connor, and Ehlers, PLD. So Winnipeg right now is kind of winning that offensive battle going on there. So be good to watch. I wouldn't count Vegas out.
No,
they
absolutely not.
Have earned that respect, but we'll see. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting to the last series here, Edmonton versus LA. This one has lived up to expectations, I'd say.
What do you think?
I am impressed with LA's ability to keep Connor McDavid off the score sheet. They have basically stapled Philip Deneau to Connor McDavid, and he's held to 1 assist so far. Unfortunately, that leaves Draisaitl open.
Yeah.
And Draisaitl has 5 points.
Yeah.
So I know, what I said in the preview, Edmonton has the depth this year, and they've been kind of showing it. 1-1 in the series the biggest problem Edmonton's having is staying out of the box. Like, too many penalties, and that lost them game 1. It let LA tie game 2, even though Edmonton won it eventually. So if they can clean up some of those penalties, I think this should be Edmonton series.
I would also say the Kings' lack of offense might have hurt them as well. And by that, I mean, so we make fun of it in hockey all the time. Oh, get pucks to the net, get pucks deep, whatever. But there's a reason people keep saying it to this day. Just get pucks to the net. And I mean, in I believe it was game 2 where just a faraway shot by Kostin with the pucks to net mentality that ended up being the game winner. I mean, there was an empty net later, but the game winner was that he just shot it from the circle from Ovi's office and it just went in. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just get pucks to the net. Like, Kings got to be doing that more often, and I think it'll pay off, and obviously stay out of the box, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, don't fault Edmonton's defense. Nurse and Ekholm have been playing really well.
Yes, they have. Yeah.
So this is a series that lived up to its promise, so I'm still excited to keep watching. How are you feeling about your prediction so far?
I don't feel great, but I don't feel terrible either. All of mine are still alive. I think the one I'm off the most on is Colorado-Seattle, because I predicted a Colorado sweep, but I don't. Yeah, Colorado hasn't looked terrible. But like as I said, and the one series I'm most surprised by, I would say, is Devils-Rangers. I would say. But yeah, so overall, not feeling too bad, and very surprised by Devils-Rangers. How about you? Like, do you have any surprises or X factors? How are you feeling?
Well, I predicted a Boston sweep, and so that one's out the window. It'll be at 5 at best. I've been surprised by the Vegas-Winnipeg, like we were just talking about. Like, I expected the Knights, especially, to win their 2 home games, and then Winnipeg to make it a fight later on. Yeah. But it's been the other way around so far. Yeah. So that's definitely surprising. So
and for most teams, it's tough to go to Winnipeg, to go in their home stadium, the whiteout playoff stadium. It's difficult to win there. Like,
both those teams have been really good at home. Like, winning in Vegas proved is tough.
Yes.
You know, for whatever reasons. Yeah. But should be good.
Yeah.
It's best time of year still.
Yeah, excited. Absolutely.
All right. Moving off here, a couple other topics, or one other topic we want to talk about this week is some reports started coming out between referee Wes McCauley and Toronto Maple Leafs coach Sheldon Keefe at a potential conflict of interest. I'm going to give a quick summary of the situation here, and then you can go ahead and give your thoughts and things like that. So this goes back to when Sheldon Keefe was a junior player. At that time, he had an agent named David Frost. Eventually, David Frost was accused of sexual assault. And in that trial, Sheldon Keefe testified against David Frost, who was eventually acquitted. The conflict of interest comes in because David Frost is Wes McCauley's brother-in-law. So the question arises, is there a conflict of interest of having someone who testified against your brother-in-law be the coach of a team you are reffing?
Right.
Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah.
But, what are your thoughts on this situation?
I do see where the concern is. I do see why there could be an issue in terms of bias, like why it could be problematic. But at the end of the day, going back to, our at least my playoff review of that series so far in game 1, yes, it was bad and it was inconsistent officiating. But at the end of the day, the Leafs did lose by like 4 goals or something like that. You can't blame all your problems on the ref, all personal matters aside. But it's hard to like completely sweep that one under the rug, Like there's always the what if going on in people's heads, and I'd be lying if I said that wasn't on my mind too. It's definitely something to consider. I would hope at least that Wes McCauley doesn't let it affect the series. We're hoping for the best here, and we're hoping that he's the bigger person and not letting his bias get a hold of him. I don't know how you would even be able to prove such a bias. I don't think that's really possible, unless it's just blatantly like crazy like calls against like Sheldon Keefe and his Maple Leafs. But yeah, I don't really think it's something to look too deep into. And I don't think it's something that you can look too deep into. I don't know how you're going to rationally prove it, So at the end of the day, do what you can, play better hockey, and focus on the win. Toronto did a great job responding back in Game 2 tonight. Just keep that foot on the gas, keep your foot on Tampa's neck, and just keep going. You can't just there's always going to be issues here, there, wherever. Everyone's got personal matters, whatever. You can't. I don't know if you can really just say, oh, because of this, that's the reason we lost.
Yeah.
Just like play hockey, right?
I don't think it's a question of this is why they lost the game. I think it's a little more general than that. Like, would you say should Wes McCauley be allowed to ref Toronto Maple Leafs games?
I mean, if the NHL is really that worried about it, then find a new ref. Yeah. Sure. If you're really worried that much about like a conspiracy theories coming out and about all this, then sure, find a new ref. Mm-hmm. Like it's very easy to swap a ref out.
Yeah.
Very easy. I mean, like this is more on the NHL's decision in my opinion. If you really want to just avoid any sort of drama or possible XYZ, then just find a new ref. Sure.
Yeah. This is what I was going to get into. Like, if you ask me, do I think Wes McCauley is intentionally calling a game wrong because of whatever history between Sheldon Keefe and himself? I would say no.
I would hope not. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say no. I don't believe that. Do I think the NHL could have just not put Wes McCauley there to even avoid the question?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like, that would have been easy. Like, he wasn't reffing game 2. He only reffed game 1. And I don't know if it was because of backlash from this, but
yeah.
Wouldn't it have been smarter the NHL to just avoid the question?
Yeah. The thing is, what I've noticed with the NHL is sometimes they will let things drag out and then just be like, oh, sorry, okay, and then it's done. Basically how we were talking about, I think it was on the first podcast with the whole Pride Nights thing.
Yeah.
They just didn't want to address the issue. They just were like, all right, it's done.
Yeah.
Like, all done, we don't have to talk about it anymore kind of thing. And why? Why do we need to keep doing that? It's okay to be open with your fans. It makes you, as a league, seem a little bit more human, too. Which is, especially in the NHL, where half your players are robots. Like, I mean...
that's a whole other problem.
Yeah, that's a separate issue. But, like, I mean, just... You are allowed to, like, act like human beings and, like, address the fans and media like they're actual human beings. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just give an answer,
And, like, you didn't even have to give an answer. You could have avoided the question altogether.
Sure.
Just put Wes McCauley on the Rangers series.
Yeah.
It's not that far.
Yeah. Yeah, just fly him down a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I really don't know why this even turned it into an issue. And more importantly, did the NHL, were they just completely unaware of this situation? Like, I only saw these reports after Game 1. Okay. And there was a lot of them, right? So
I first saw this on Reddit, like, leading up to Game 1.
Okay.
And I think the whole thing came up because Wes McCauley was the assigned coach of a playoff game. Like, maybe in a regular season game, people aren't paying as much attention, but you would have to think this comes out, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like the NHL was unaware. David Frost was a very prominent agent in junior hockey.
Yeah.
And is still involved in hockey to some degree today, I believe. Wes McCauley is one of the NHL's most famous refs because of his penalty calls.
Yeah.
And Sheldon Keefe is coach of the NHL's biggest franchise.
Yeah.
Like, if some guy on Reddit figured this out, someone in the NHL should have known. Right?
Yeah, it just seems. I don't think really there's any fingers to point, or like I don't think anyone's to blame, so to speak. But if you're really that worried, if I'm the NHL and if I'm trying to avoid any sort of controversy, I would have just swapped him out right off the bat.
Yes.
Just avoid the question whatsoever. As you said, just avoid the question.
7 other series to put Wes McCauley in.
Yeah. It's not like you're not saying, oh, you're banned from the NHL. You're not allowed to ref NHL games. I'm sure there are refs that have been banned. But like, if
just not Maple Leaf games.
You put them exactly in that one where there could be controversy. Yeah, I don't know.
One that could be controversy and one that's in Toronto.
Yeah.
That micro, like, sees every aspect of this game.
Yeah.
It's Toronto.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
They're analysts for the analysts. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They're just, I don't know. I feel like the NHL should have maybe thought this one through a little bit more.
And another huge problem is that NHL officiating is a storyline every playoffs.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I mean, why is to probably sell tickets, but...
Is officiating storyline selling tickets?
I mean, we're talking about it right now, are we not?
Yeah, but we're upset about it.
Yeah, okay, fair.
It's not, I don't go to it's not like I look up, oh, hey, Wes McCauley's reffing the Toronto Maple Leafs game. I'm going to spend $500 on a ticket. Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I would hope not, but like, yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's much to say other than this didn't need to be an issue in the first place.
Yeah. So. And I do want to give props to Sheldon Keefe. When asked about it, he said, yeah, I'm not going to comment on that. It is what it is. We just got to play hockey.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So someone did ask Sheldon Keefe.
Yeah. That's the right mentality. Yeah. That's kind of what I was saying before we got into all this. Like, just play hockey. You know, do what you can. Like, the universe is going to deal you hands that are sometimes out of your control. Mm-hmm. Just do what you can. So, yeah. And unfortunately, the NHL does not make refs available to media, so nobody could ask Wes McCauley. Yeah, but that's a whole separate issue we could go on to about refs not getting fined and all this other stuff. But you know, I don't know. I don't even think this is an NHL problem. I think this is an NBA. This is every league problem where refs are just doing worse and worse jobs as the game gets faster and not seeing any repercussions for it. So,
I think. One of the topics on this podcast at some point, we should talk about NHL officiating. Yeah, we got a lot to unpack there. And, we're running up on time here, so probably not today. Yeah, but eventually.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
All right, so leading into next week as well, finishing out the round 1 series. If there's from here on out, if there's if I told you could only watch one series, which one are you keeping your eye on?
Not the Rangers and Devils, that one. That's for sure. If that goes the way it has, it's been a snooze fest. But man, now all of a sudden I'm interested in Colorado and Seattle. You know what I mean? Like, sure, it's 2-2 right now, end of the second, game 2. Still, I still think Seattle's got that dog in them. They have a lot more to give. I think they're going to make this way harder for Colorado than Colorado themselves is expecting. So I'm going to go Colorado, Seattle. Nice. What about you?
For me, it's Edmonton, LA. That series has lived up to the hype. Edmonton was my Stanley Cup pick, so I'm watching that series and looking for more magic.
Yeah, I get that. Makes sense.
All right, that's it for this one. This has been Glass Seats. We're out every Saturday, so tune in and follow along for the rest of the NHL playoffs. We'll see ya.
Peace.